In just one evening, I drew a live concert by the Norwegian folk rock legends Gåte and watched amateur pro wrestling. And here is what I learned by comparison. My name is Kim Holm, also called Den Unge Holm, and I create art for free use. Some would call my interests in art eclectic, from the dark to the silly to the fantastical to documenting reality. But for me, folk rock and wrestling are basically the same. Gåte were absolutely amazing and spellbound the audience, but the problem was that the audience was sitting in chairs. In my opinion, most art is best observed either standing and engaging or sitting on the floor and receiving. And rhythmic music is almost always best when you can stand, move your body, dance. That's not to take anything away from the artistic experience of those who can't stand or can't stand for a full concert. There should always be a mix of alternatives for anyone's accessibility. But even if you're wheelchair bound and deaf and blind, I'm betting the experience is different when you can feel the whole crowd move in concert with the sound waves of the concert. But by the end of the concert, Gåte had every member of the crowd in the palm of their hands. Yet you could still feel the temperature rise as the crowd stood up for the encore songs. Suddenly, it wasn't just a band performing, it was synergy. Jumping on a bus to catch the wrestling on the other side of town, I came just in time for the first match. This was Bergen Pro Wrestling and Norges Wrestlingforbund's first sold-out show in Bergen, and the crowd popped from the first second. To establish the good guys and the bad guys, every wrestler played on Bergen's infamous city patriotism, with out-of-town wrestlers instantly receiving hate, establishing them as heels. If anyone wasn't immediately perceived as they wanted to be, they just had to open their mouth and say something, good or bad, about Bergen to get the audience on the right side. Sure, it's a cheap tactic, but you could feel it work its way through the crowd as a wave. Local wrestler Frederick the Great got cheated out of the West Coast belt once again, setting up for a rematch at Fana Fight Night, the 11th of October 2024. That's this weekend! And the former tag team champions from Bergen, Hovedstaden, got to play babyfaces to the hometown audience while still using heel tactics. And that's great fun. Yet, from the explosive start, the audience spent so much of their energy that the final matches had to work much harder to get the crowd to pop. The main match was still good, the crowd still roared, but the energy was slightly less than it had been for the first half. The crowd had spent themselves. Which got me thinking about the Gåte concert and how in the middle of the concert the lights dimmed and Gunhild, maybe Norway's best vocalist, lighted 2 candles. She then talked a little bit to us in the audience about her life, about her husband surviving a brain stroke, and about love. Then she started singing, alone. First with the microphone, and then without. Her voice traveling all the way to the back of the hall. There wasn't a single other sound in the room. Except for the guy who had forgotten to turn off his phone, of course, but yeah, you can't win them all. As Gunhild sang, it was the perfect sit-down concert. It was a perfect floating in space concert. Without that break, Gåte wouldn't have been able to lift the roof the way they did at the end. I'm not saying that Erik the Icon Isaksen should have sung a cappella in the ring, nor that Gåte should have trash-talked other Norwegian cities, but there is a set of patterns of tension and release, ups and downs, that we find in common in all art. In music, in wrestling, in art, even in this video. It's never directly transferable, but as a metaphor, it unites all art. It's all tension and release. There's always someone who watches these videos and go, bro, it's not that deep. Sure, maybe it's not that deep for you, but if you like my art, if you like anything I do, then this is how it works for me. Because I'm the kind of person who'll lay awake in the middle of the night, not being able to stop thinking about the similarities between Gåte and amateur pro wrestling. And this is what I try to put in my art. This is, in a sense, what makes my art good, I think. I might be wrong, I might change my mind tomorrow. What do you think? Should more wrestlers do a cappella singing? Or should there be pile drivers in folk rock? Not that pile driver. The other. I release all my art for free use under a Creative Commons attribution license, but of course this art is using the likeness of the band Tåke. I've so many takes where I say Tåke instead of Gåte, because I've drawn Tåke a lot more. Now, of course, all my art is available for free use, so the art you see of Gåte in this video is available at my website denungeherrholm.com. The originals are for sale, and the scans are available under a Creative Commons attribution license. Now, of course, with band pictures, they're not just mine. The band also has their likeness, so don't be stupid. If you want to use my art of Gåte, use them in a context where appropriate. It's not that difficult. Buying my originals is the best way to support my art financially, but you could also support it by just using it, by buying prints, or by going to patreon.com/KimHolm and supporting me there. Yep, I think that's the video. Make pile drivers legal in folk rock. Whoa.